The Curse of Oak Island, Season 13, Episode 18, Breaking the Seal. Get ready. Breaking the Seal. Just sit with that title for a moment. Breaking the Seal. Whoever came up with that title for this episode knew exactly what they were doing, because that is not just a title, that is a warning. That is the show telling you, buckle up, because what you are about to see has been centuries in the making. Welcome back, Oak Island fans. The season finale is getting closer with every episode, and right now is not the time to look away. And I mean that, because if there is one episode this season, one single episode that deserves a full, proper, detailed breakdown before you sit down to watch it, it is this one. Season 13, Episode 18 of The Curse of Oak Island. Breaking the Seal. We are going deep today. We are talking about the sneak peeks, the trailer moments, what is coming in this episode, why it matters, and why this could be, and I do not say this lightly, one of the most important episodes in the entire history of this show. So do not go anywhere. Do not skip ahead. Stay with me from start to finish, because every single part of this breakdown connects to the next, and by the time we get to the end, you are going to be watching that episode with completely different eyes. Let's get into it. Let's start at the very beginning of what we know, because context is everything with Oak Island. If you have been following this show from the early seasons, you know that the whole premise, the whole reason this island has captured the imagination of treasure hunters, historians, conspiracy theorists and curious minds for over 200 years, is the belief that something extraordinary is buried there. Something valuable, something significant, something that someone, at some point in history, went to absolutely extraordinary lengths to hide and protect. And the word extraordinary does not even begin to cover it. We are talking about engineered flood tunnels designed to fill any excavation attempt with seawater the moment you dig too deep. We are talking about booby traps, decoy shafts, layers of protection stacked on top of more layers of protection. Whoever buried whatever is on Oak Island did not just dig a hole and cover it back up. They built a system, a sophisticated, deliberate, calculated system designed to keep the contents hidden, possibly forever. That is the world we are operating in when we talk about Season 13, Episode 18. That is the backdrop. And once you understand that backdrop, once you really feel the weight of that history, what happens in this episode hits completely differently. Now let's talk about Lot 8, because that is ground zero for this episode. And if you have not been following the Lot 8 storyline closely this season, let me bring you fully up to speed. Lot 8 is a specific area of Oak Island that the team has been focused on intensely this season. It is not the Money Pit, the famous original excavation site that has frustrated and fascinated treasure hunters for generations. It is a separate area, and for a long time, a lot of attention naturally went to the Money Pit because that is where the legend started. That is where early treasure hunters in the 1700s and 1800s first started digging and first started finding tantalizing clues, wooden platforms, coconut fiber, a mysterious stone with an inscription. The Money Pit became the obsession. But here is the thing about Oak Island that the Lagina brothers and their team have come to understand very well over 13 seasons. The island does not give up its secrets in obvious places. The island rewards patience. The island rewards looking where other people have not looked. And Lot 8 has been quietly, steadily delivering some of the most significant finds of recent seasons. So when the team turned their full attention and full resources to Lot 8 this season, those of us who have been watching closely knew something was building. Something was coming. And now, in episode 18, it arrives. Here is what happened. The team identified a massive boulder in the Lot 8 area. And when I say massive, I want you to really picture this. This is not a rock you could move with a few people and some equipment. This boulder weighs 40,000 pounds. To put that into perspective, that is the weight of roughly 3 full-sized pickup trucks stacked together. That is an object that, under normal circumstances, you would simply work around. You would map it, note it, and move on. But the team did not move on, because something about that boulder, its position, its placement, the way it sat in the ground, suggested it did not just end up there by chance. And that instinct, that trained eye for things that seem just slightly too deliberate to be accidental, is exactly what separates experienced field teams from casual observers. So they made the call. They were going to raise it. Now think about what that operation actually looks like. 40,000 pounds. You are not doing that with a shovel and a winch. You are bringing in serious heavy equipment. You are rigging that boulder carefully, calculating the lift, making sure the surrounding ground does not collapse or shift in ways that could destroy whatever might be underneath. It is a slow, careful, precise operation. And there is always that moment, that suspended moment right before the boulder breaks free from the earth, where every person on that team is holding their breath, because they do not know what they are going to find. They hope, they their eyes, but they do not know. And then the boulder comes up, and what the team sees underneath it, stops them cold. This is where the sneak peek footage becomes so important to pay attention to, because the reaction of the team in that moment is not the reaction of people who found nothing. It is not the reaction of people who found something mildly interesting. The word that the show itself uses to describe the team's reaction reaction is astonished. Astonished. Not curious. Not intrigued. Not cautiously optimistic, which is the default setting for Oak Island veterans who have been disappointed enough times to keep their emotions in check. Astonished. What they find beneath the boulder is a man-made feature. And that phrase, man-made feature, is doing an enormous amount of work in that sentence, so let's unpack it properly. On a site like Oak Island, finding something man-made is never an accident. It is never a coincidence. Every time something turns up that was clearly shaped, placed, or constructed by human hands, the question is immediately the same: who made this, when did they make it, and why? Those three questions drive everything on this island. And the man-made feature found beneath the 40,000-pound boulder in Lot 8 appears to be concealing either a shaft or a tunnel. A shaft, or a tunnel, hidden under a 40,000-pound boulder. Let's think about that for a second with fresh eyes. If you wanted to hide an entrance, a doorway into something buried deep underground, and you wanted to make absolutely sure that nobody stumbled upon it accidentally, and that anyone who came looking would give up before they found it, what would you do? You might flood it. They did that. You might create decoy holes to send people digging in the wrong direction. They did that too. But you might also, and this is elegant in its own dark way, you might also just put something impossibly heavy on top of it. Something that looks completely natural. Something that looks like it has always been there. Something that nobody in their right mind would ever try to move. A 40,000-pound boulder. And if that theory is correct, if that boulder was placed there deliberately to conceal what lies beneath it, then what we are looking at in episode 18 is not just an interesting archaeological find. We are looking at the moment the Oak Island team may have finally found a deliberate, constructed, concealed access point into the island's underground system. The kind of access point that whoever built this place used. The door that was never meant to be opened again. That is what breaking the seal means. That is why this episode has that title. Now let's talk about where this fits into the bigger picture of season 13. Because episodes do not exist in isolation, and this one especially makes more sense when you see the thread that has been building all season long. Season 13 has been methodical. That is the word I would use for it. Methodical. The team has been working with more technology, more data, more precision than in any previous season. Ground-penetrating radar, sophisticated sonar, advanced core sampling techniques that allow them to analyze what is underground without fully excavating it. They have been building a map, a real, detailed, data-supported map of what the underground structure of Oak Island actually looks like. And what that map has been suggesting, slowly, piece by piece, season by season, is that the underground system on Oak Island is far larger and far more complex than anyone originally imagined. The shafts and tunnels are not isolated. They connect. They branch. They were engineered as a system, not as individual holes. And if you understand that, if you accept that the underground of Oak Island is one large interconnected structure, then finding a new entrance point is not just finding a new hole in the ground. It is finding a new door into the entire system. That is the significance of what episode 18 is pointing toward. And that is why, when you watch this episode, you need to pay close attention to a few very specific things. Watch the shape and the orientation of the man-made feature. Is the opening vertical, meaning it is a shaft dropping straight down? Or is there any indication that it runs at an angle, or horizontally? The direction matters enormously, because it tells you what the feature was designed to connect to. A vertical shaft in that location could link directly downward to tunnels already mapped at depth. A horizontal or diagonal passage could be a connector, a route that links Lot 8 to other parts of the island's underground system that the team has been mapping for years. Watch how the team decides to proceed. This is something that gets overlooked in Oak Island breakdowns, but it is actually one of the most revealing parts of any episode. Do they go in immediately? Do they send equipment down first? Do they pull back and consult before doing anything else? The pace of their decision-making tells you everything about how serious they believe this find to be. When the team slows down on Oak Island, when they stop and think before acting, it is because they are standing in front of something that feels genuinely significant. And rushing could destroy it. Watch for their historians and outside experts. The Oak Island team has a network of researchers, historians, and specialists they consult throughout the season. But there are moments, specific moments, where they bring someone in not for a general consultation, but because they are looking at something specific that they need outside expertise to interpret. When that happens in this episode, pay close attention to what question they are asking that expert. The question will tell you what they are seeing that they cannot fully explain themselves. And watch the faces. I know that sounds simple, but watch the faces of Rick and Marty Laginer specifically. These are two men who have spent years on this island. They have been let down. They have been surprised. They have had moments of incredible excitement followed by crushing setbacks. Their faces are not easy to read anymore. They have learned to manage their reactions on camera. So when something genuinely breaks through that composure, when you see something real flash across their expressions, that is the moment. That is the tell. That is the show giving you the unscripted, unguarded truth about what this find means to the people who have dedicated a significant part of their lives to this island. Now I want to spend a moment on something that does not always get enough attention in episode breakdowns, and that is the human story underneath all of this. Because The Curse of Oak Island is, at its core, not really a treasure hunting show. It is a show about belief. It is a show about what happens when people refuse to stop believing in something, even when the evidence is incomplete, even when the timeline stretches on, even when the world around them starts to wonder if they are chasing a dream. Rick and Marty Lagina did not come to this island as professional treasure hunters. They came because of a story Rick read as a child in a magazine, a story about a mysterious hole in the ground on a small island in Nova Scotia and the treasure that might lie at the bottom of it. That story never left him, and decades later, when the opportunity came to actually go to that island, to actually try, he took it, and he brought his brother with him. That is the foundation of this show. And episodes like this one, episodes where something real, something genuinely extraordinary seems to be emerging from the ground, are the payoff of that foundation. They are the moments where belief and reality finally start to converge, where the story that captured a young boy's imagination in a magazine starts to look less like a dream and more like something that might actually be true. Breaking the Seal, Season 13, Episode 18. This is one of those moments. So there you have it, the full breakdown. The Curse of Oak Island, Season 13, Episode 18, Breaking the Seal. A £40,000 boulder raised from Lot 8. A man-made feature discovered beneath it. A shaft or tunnel that nobody has entered in what could be centuries. A team left astonished by what they found. And a title that tells you exactly what kind of episode this is going to be. This is the moment Oak Island fans have been waiting for. Not just this season, for years. So when you sit down to watch this episode, you bring everything we just talked about with you. The history, the context, the significance, and watch it the way it deserves to be watched. If this breakdown helped you, if it added something to how you are going to experience this episode, then do one thing for me. Hit that like button. It costs you nothing and it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who love this show as much as we do. Subscribe if you are not already here, because we do this for every single episode. Deep, detailed, no fluff breakdowns that respect your intelligence and your time. And drop a comment below right now. What do you think is inside that shaft or tunnel? What do you think is behind the seal? I want to read every single theory you have got. I will see you in the next one.